Welcome back to Alley Chats. I'm your host, Rob Southgate. Alley Chats is like a virtual artist's alley featuring interviews with artists, filmmakers, podcasters, writers, and really any creative person you might find at a pop culture convention. My goal is to help draw attention to cool people and hopefully help them get some new fans. I want this podcast to raise up these amazing people and to inspire you, the listener, to chase your dreams as well. You can follow Alley Chats on Facebook under Alley Chats Podcast and join in the conversations. I'll add more social media in the future, but for now, that is the best place to interact with us. You can also email me directly if you would like to be a guest or have a guest suggestion. My email is rob@smgpods.com. Today, I have a filmmaker with me. Anyone that listens regularly knows this is my jam. I love talking to filmmakers, especially people in the horror genre, which I seem to attract. It's got to be the Shave. I don't know what. That made no sense. That's fine. Who's paying attention to me? We're paying attention to Phil Mucci, who is my guest. Did I say that right, Phil?
Yes, you did. That was excellent.
Excellent. I love that. All right. So today I've got Phil with me. The reason we're doing this, and this is people listening, if you're listening to it today, which is May 17th, this is when we're recording it. The reason we're doing it today is Phil has the director's cut of a Metallica music video that he made, High on Fire, Cometh the Storm, is going to be showing at the Chicago Film Festival tonight. I don't know what time. But I wanted to get this out there. So if you hear this and you want to see this super cool video on a screen, you got to get there today. And if you missed it, okay, look it up. It's after the 17th. It's, whatever. Try to find this video because it's great. Phil, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Rob.
I am so excited to talk to you. Once again, people that have listened to my stuff, I do a number of different podcasts. Eric Eichelberger, who puts on Shaka Go-Go, he was a guest originally, and then he loves to send me filmmakers, and I get just the greatest people from him. So when I reached out to him last night and I said, hey, don't you have a Shaka Go-Go? And he was like, oh, try to talk to Phil Mucci. I was so excited because I looked up your website. I was looking at your stuff. Man, it's so cool. It is so cool. So your production company is Diabolik, correct?
Yeah, we pronounce it Diabolik, like Danger Diabolik, like the Mario Bava movie and the Italian comics.
I was going more, hoity-toity film guy. Oh,
yeah, the French version with the Q is Diabolik.
Yes. But Diabolik, so this was it. When you sent me this last night, actually, I got the website first from Eric. I went in and I thought that was the name of the film and immediately went, this looks awesome. And then I scanned, I'm like, oh no, that's the production company. And I saw all this other cool stuff you do. So you're a filmmaker, writer, director. Have you ever done like features or is it all like short films and music videos?
Currently it's all been short films, music videos, and, sort of social media videos that promote art. Because I also write graphic novels and I color them and do layout.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. We have things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I have written feature-length screenplays. Nothing's been made it all the way yet.
Yeah.
I've also been attached to other people's stuff. That was kind of my first experience coming to LA, was getting a lot of scripts to read and being loosely attached to something and doing a bunch of free work on them and having it all fall apart. So I eventually just got frustrated and was like, I'm just going to keep focusing on my own stuff and, see how that works out. So far, no feature, but hopefully soon.
Well, yeah, and it that actually doesn't matter. Like, I'm not one of these guys that's going to focus on that. I just wanted to ask that because I hadn't seen it on here. But the visuals and the storytelling that you have in these videos that I've seen, I can totally see feature film out of this, and really interesting feature film. These Metallica videos, I mean, the fact that you're making these Metallica videos, these are epic. These are really fantastic, great visuals, great story. Obviously, it's Metallica's music. I'm in love with these. So the fact that you're doing these, I mean, that is definitely a stepping stone that's going to lead you to getting your vision out there in a feature film. But even if you don't, we do a thing called short heads where all we do is talk about short film. And man, we love them, and you make great ones.
Well,
So
we did one. I'll just correct you on one thing. We did one
yeah.
Metallica video. The current video that we're playing tonight is the band High on Fire, and this is
Oh,
our,
is that what it is? I thought they were
yeah,
Metallica again, and I'm like, because like they kind of have that sound. They're in that speed
yeah.
metal.
They're heavy metal. They're
Yeah.
metal. They're not Metallica. But this
Well,
is the second video I've actually done for this particular band, and this video that's playing tonight was sort of a comeback legacy thing because they haven't done an album in about 6 years. They won a Grammy for their last album, which
okay.
was a big deal for these like their Bay Area metal band, who was kind of underground until they won a Grammy,
Yeah, right,
and then the
right.
band kind of broke up and they reformed with two of the original members. And yeah, I got the call like right before Christmas last year from the bass player and one of basically now kind of the leader of the band, Jeff Matz, and he asked me if I'd be interested, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go back and do it again, But in the back of my mind, thinking like, what are the budgets now for this band?
Yeah, right, right. Well, yeah, but you must be working because I mean, I went through and I was looking at your music videos that you have on your site, and you're I mean, you must really work a budget because all of these look like they spent a damn fortune on them.
Yeah,
Like
I
they're
mean,
beautiful.
I have a sort of a good skill set for this sort of stuff, having come from photography as that went digital, learning filmmaking as that went digital. I have a lot of skill in Photoshop and After Effects, and I bring that all to bear on these projects. And I'm also a big fan of B-movie filmmaking,
Yeah,
where you come up with creative solutions to problems that look good and interesting and stylized. They may not look realistic or as cartoony as like a Marvel CGI fest kind of thing,
right.
but I like, buying miniatures and deteriorating them, getting little models of things. And in this video, I tried even some other techniques that I was just sort of like, I think this visual style will be kind of weird and unique to try in a video like this, and it will work within the context of the storytelling. I'm thinking specifically of like using little army men, using
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
cutout puppets that we made, from old, images of like knights in armor and stuff from, medieval times, woodcuts and things that we just kind of printed out and then cut them. Because I figured within the context of this video and this budget, it kind of worked. And I love that kind of experimentation where you look at the budget as like, okay, here's as much as I can spend, and how do I still make it have as much scope and be as expansive as possible within those limitations. So that's kind of how I've come around to it. Because as a photographer, I did a lot of special effects and then moved into Photoshop stuff. So that kind of process, my love of like movie magic has always been there. So anything I can experiment with and try, I try to do if it fits the project.
But it's really evident. I mean, obviously this High on Fire video that you sent me so I could check it out. Once again, dumbass me thought it was Metallica. Uh, I absolutely love the visuals, and I thought, man, you must have spent a fortune on this. But I do see how you are in that same area of the B movie director, where you're making the most out of what you got, and you really did. And I'm even looking back, like on your website, you go and look at your music videos. Every one of them is super stylized, super cool. Like I want to see what goes on after this. It's kind of like Phil. This is going to be a real compliment. Look out. Uh, back. I don't know how old you are. I'm old. I'm 55. Okay. I used to work in a video store. You see those movies where they show the guys in the 80s working in the video store? That was me.
Yeah.
And there were these great covers, especially to the horror and B movie things. They'd have these covers, and you look at them, and there was a promise there that when you'd see it, you'd go, "They bought that mask over at, Kmart. That is not the promise that I thought I was going to get." Right? With these, when I look at the cover, and then I'm like, "This has that same promise." Like I want to see what's going on in here. I want to see, like, I'm going back when I go back and I look at the one I was just watching before we jumped on, where you've got the apes. It was from 2012, I
Oh
think.
yeah. Pig
Okay,
Destroyer,
Pig
the
Destroyer.
diplomat. Yeah.
I would have seen that picture and gone, I got to watch this, right? And then I would have watched it and it wouldn't have fulfilled the promise. But yours fulfills the promise. It's kind of like, this is what I wanted to see from this. And I don't think B movie is fair, other than if you talk, well, box office, it's a B movie. I think that indie is a better way to put it. The independent filmmaker that's not forced to make a Marvel movie where they can let their creativity fly. That's what I was always looking for. And that's what I'm seeing in your stuff.
Oh,
And,
wow. Thank you, brother.
and that's why watching, Come at the Storm, I was like, oh, I just want to live in this. I want to share it with all my friends because it's super cool visuals, super cool. And once again, the storytelling is great. And I do love another thing that I want to point out. I see so many homages in what you're doing here. You're clearly into this like funky world of filmmaking. Like I was telling my wife last night, there's RE has a publication where they talk about it's their exploitation issue. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it goes through all these interviews with all these filmmakers. And I ate the thing up because these are people that are like, hey, I didn't know how I was going to pull off putting a brother in a basket and having them walk, but I did it and it became the stuff or it became, basket case or whatever. And I'm like, that's what I'm into. That's what I'm into.
I'm actually, I'm about to turn 55. So we're, right along the same age group. And a lot of my inspiration when I was younger, my parents were big film buffs. So, a lot of times, we got rewarded for whatever, doing our chores or whatever, and taken to the drive-in. And that's where I got to see a lot of the lesser, I would say indie B movies, but I took a lot of inspiration from that as I grew up and started learning more about these filmmakers and how they pulled things off, and became very interested in that process because film is always an evolution. And one thing you said just hit me because my business partners in Diabolik, they're not as technical as filmmakers.
Okay.
So when they read the treatments that I put out for the videos, because a treatment is like your pitch document, it's your script. Right. But it's also a very loose interpretation sales document to get people excited about like, oh yeah, we got to do this video. And they'll always be like, it sounds amazing. I have no idea how the hell you're going to pull this off.
Right.
But yeah, let's do it. And there's always an organic there's one of the things I love about filmmaking and when you have a low budget and a lot of it's on your own shoulders, you get to kind of allow the thing to evolve organically. And I don't really, with music videos, have people breathing over my shoulder, like in a movie studio sort of situation where you've got different people you've got to appease and endless meetings. I don't have that on the music videos, so they can evolve organically and I can reduce things down to the essence of what is just needed to kind of get the story across and get the idea across.
Well, and
so it's funny that you pick up on that because that is exactly kind of the process.
Oh, I love it. And that's one of the things that's so interesting. Like I'm looking at your short films and The Listening Dead right there. This is a perfect example. The cover is that promise I was talking about, right? And then I watch it and it's all there. Everything that I'm wanting from that poster, all that visual, and it's there. And that's really important. I talk to a lot of short filmmakers that struggle with getting that visual element across, that special effects type thing across the right way. And it looks like you're saying, hey, I'm using the tools I've got, but I'm using them to the best I can. And I'm really trying to do that. If you're my age, you know exactly what I mean about those boxes and what that promise was. And I love that you're in there doing it. And I love what you're doing, like I said, with music video. I think that's such an important form that, as MTV got away from videos, it became less and less. So it's kind of like that heyday kind of disappeared, but there are still bands that want to do it. And I think that the people that really have that visual impact, these are the people that are the most interesting. They're the ones you want to continue watching. Now it's turned into TikTokers that are trying to do it, but how much of these effects can they pull off? You know,
Yeah.
like Far Out is not going to be made on TikTok, or is it?
Yeah.
Who's the
I don't
next
know.
one?
I don't think so, just because I know how much work goes into those kind of like
Right.
projects. You know, there has been a lowering of the bar generally as there's been more and more film, and as they call it today, content, which I hate, but you know, the kind of bar gets lowered and lowered. I've noticed you still have high end artists working at the top of their game, but there's just a lot more of the junk around, you know.
Yeah.
And in the VHS and the drive-in era, there was still a lot of junk. Like you said, a lot of times you'd look at that box art and be like, that's a great painting. I bet none of that's in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, you get cynical after a while because you don't expect it, but you know,
Death
it's
Stalker.
funny.
Remember the
Like,
cover for Death Stalker?
oh yeah,
And
like
it
that
was like that
monster.
painting. Oh God. And it was like, you go, oh yeah. Then you read it. And you're like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think I see the duct tape in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh. And then I hate myself because I watch it like 5 times because it's still Deathstalker, right? You
Yeah.
know, and there are people like now, and I think that's why one of the reasons I like horror so much is there are a lot of people that are making the most out of it in that area. Uh, I'm thinking of Terrifier. I watched that first Terrifier, and I'm like, that had to have a budget of about $18, but it went there. Every scene went there. And I find that really interesting. I find that's where it doesn't mean everything has to be the Terrifier, right? Love it or hate it, they did a lot with what they had. And I really am into that kind of thing. And yours looks like this is going to sound once again like when I said Diabolik. Yours is the higher level where it looks like you're more dealing with the camera and the effects and how you get the most out of that. You ever see the movie 52577?
No, I have not.
I'm going to recommend it. Another guy in our age group, Patrick Reed Johnson, made this. He was the first civilian to see Star Wars. And that's what the movie is. It's about how his mom called out to California because my son wants to do special effects. He filled their bathtub or their pool with red dye to make it look like a blood scene. And that's when she was like, okay, off you go. It's all real. Now, the movie is obviously fictionalized in some ways, but in other ways, I've talked to him. It's real. And he flew out there and this guy introduced him to Steven Spielberg. And then Steven Spielberg said, hey, you like this? You like my buddy George's thing. And George showed him Star Wars months before
Wow.
it came out.
Wow.
And what is reminding me is it was the same thing. He was obsessed with how do I tell this story visually and make these great effects and trick it because you're doing a magic trick kind of by
Yeah.
making the brain see something maybe that's not there or think it's experiencing this thing. And that's what I'm getting out of yours. I'm getting that experience. It's putting in. So I brought up Far Out. It's putting me in that time frame. It's giving me those visuals that I wanted when I watched those films, but maybe they didn't pull them off quite the right way. Maybe, Roger Corman didn't give them enough to pull it off. Now you can do it. And I think that's excellent. I'm really into it, man. Really.
Oh, thanks, brother.
So, okay, questions. This is going to be, you're showing the music video for Come at the Storm. It's going to show tonight, so that's going to be a real treat for people. So if they can get out to Shaka Go, what theater is it at? What time is it at? Do you have that information?
Yeah, it's at the Lumiere Cinema in the music hall. It's at 7:30 tonight. It's in Beverly Hills, California on
Cool.
Wilshire Boulevard. 7:30 is, when lights go down. I think there's a couple of shorts, and I'm one of them, opening up for
Love it.
Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives with
Shut up. That's what they're showing tonight?
yeah. We're the opening for that one. And Thom McLoughlin, the director's going to be there. The composer's going to be there. A lot of the cast of Friday the 13th, Part 6 is going to be there.
How
So
fun.
it should be fun.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
And I'm actually going to be there with my two lead actors from the video. So Amari Deity, our beautiful mother Gaia from the video, and Ian Mackey, my business partner, and the other star of that video.
Fantastic. Are you doing a Q&A or anything tonight?
We don't get a Q&A, but the Friday the 13th group does. We will have some awesome postcards to give away.
All right, swag
that I designed and printed.
I bet people can get a selfie
that
with you if they find you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Because who doesn't want a Phil Mucci selfie? It makes a great Christmas card next year.
Well, they might want Amari to be in it, but that's okay.
Yeah,
she's terrific. We were really lucky to find her and have her be so invested in this project, because she really was. She was very into doing it. So that's rare.
So you've done this. This is your most current project. Do you have any new shorts or anything that you're working on?
Well, right now I'm working on. I had to put a pause in my second graphic novel in this double feature series that we're doing. So I'm finishing that now. And that's going to be a couple of months of work to get that finished. You talked about Terrifier, like they raised a lot of money on Kickstarter to make the first two films.
Right.
We use Kickstarter to raise money to do our graphic novels, which pretty much we don't have national distribution yet, but we focus on the local area, and they're very film-based sort of graphic novels. We make it a double feature. One side is Orgy of the Blood Freaks, a Professor Dario Bava adventure, which is vampires in Rome, 1967. Lots of fun, lots of camp. And then you flip the book over, literally, vertically, and on the other side, you get Gringo Loco, which is a supernatural spaghetti Western story. So the first book did really well. We had to do a second printing of it. So now we're working on book 2 of that series. It's planned to be 3 books, 3 double features at the end of it. So that's what I'm working on next. Unless another project comes up, but that's what I have to finish next.
Yeah, say more topics that I like, because man, you are hitting me square on with these, and doing graphic novels. I love that. In fact, this show that you're on, Alley Chats, stemmed out of when COVID hit. I have all these friends from Artist Alley, all these comic book writers and artists that all of a sudden couldn't sell at cons. And they're like, what do I do? So I started this show so we could help promote their stuff and tell people, hey, go buy their stuff, which is exactly what I'm going to say right now to anybody listening. If you can't make it to the video screening tonight, go to Diabolik Films, Diabolik films.com. You can pre-order Orgy of the Blood Freaks. You can watch music videos and shorts, and man, they're so worth it. And also sign up for his newsletter. Always sign up for the newsletter. And another thing you could do, and this is something that when you're on the other show, I'm going to invite you to in a second. You're going to hear me say it there too. Share this with your friends, because if you're going to have friends out there, if you're at all intrigued by this, you're going to have that friend that's me, that goes, Blood Orgy or Orgy of the Blood Freaks? Yes, please. And they need to be aware of this. I can't tell you how many friends I have that when just sending them your website are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm all in on this stuff. Because the once again, the subjects, the visual, like you are nailing exactly what my people love. And
thank you.
The people that are out there that are listening, share it, because you never know who's out there. You could have a cousin that's never talked about it with you, and as soon as you send this, you'll get that email that's like, I love you for sending this. This is the greatest thing in my life. Right?
Yeah. And there's also another website we have, ProfessorDarioBava.com, which is just focused on the graphic novels and the videos related to the graphic novels. Because I did an animated teaser a few years back to promote the kind of the world of Professor Dario Bava that we hope to one day have as like either an animated adult series or a film or something. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned COVID too, because that was when we really did our first graphic novel of Professor Dario Bava. We got the books from the printer right as lockdown began in 2020.
Oh,
So
man.
we couldn't do any cons. We couldn't really promote it. So we decided, well, let's just start working on the next book. An activity book, which is like a Professor Dario Bava coloring book kind of thing, a
I love
cult
it.
activity book.
Bring
And
your
then we
red
started,
markers, kids.
and
There's
then we
gonna be
started on
blood.
the double book series over COVID. So yeah, if when life gives you lemons, make lemonade kind of thing. But
And you can still go to the Kickstarter backer kit. You can still
yeah,
pre-order.
yes, you
So
can.
so you can support that way and get your pre-order in, which is something that I'm already clicking on everything here. Now here's the other thing I'm going to throw out there to you, Phil. Uh, on the next one, when you are going to do a Kickstarter, you make sure you keep my name around. I have another show called Go Fund This. All we do is we go through what your Kickstarter or your backer kit or your Spark and Seed, and we make people aware of it. And the people that follow that are people that really want to support the arts and support
Oh,
especially
excellent.
genre arts. So you are invited to that. Uh, yeah, now that we know each other, I got other stuff I'm going to invite you to because I think we have a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, because it's super cool, and I love this Dario Bava. That whole Italian horror scene, the spaghetti western scene. I'm a big fan of that as well. I think there's so many cool things. I love well, I know this is separate from that, but it's the same thing. When I ordered my Italian vampire movies, I ordered a bunch of I can't think of the name of the company now. I'm drawing a blank. The British
Severin,
one. No, Severin's great too. No, the British one that made all the great
Anchor,
weird monster movies. No, the older one. I love
Hammer.
Anchor,
Yeah,
Hammer. Yeah, this
Hammer.
is like all of this. This is what you talked about being a film family. Now, my mom wasn't so much into that. We always went to movies, but she would never watch that stuff. My dad did not like horror movies, but for some reason, when Svengoolie was on, or on Saturdays when all the weird, Dracula meets Billy the Kid, my dad was the first one to go like, "Go watch these. You'll love these." And then as my thing grew and it became Dario Argento
Yeah.
and the Hammer films, like they really encouraged all that, and that became my film language. I love that stuff. So that's why I'm reacting so strongly to this. I love it. I think it's so fascinating, and I love that marriage to the Italian Western. I mean, there's really nothing better. You know what you need to make? You need to make this for me. You need to make a feature film that is a hard horror Western in that style. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
mean that's
mean?
kind of what Gringo Loco is.
I
It's
won't no,
me
but I want you to go further, man. I'm
yeah.
asking you to go further.
No, I want to make Gringo Loco as a movie. And if you read it, the first book, you'll be like, wow, that's almost a complete story. That could be an episode of something, or it could be the first act of a movie. And that's deliberate. It's just good storytelling to give people a finish, because a lot of modern day comics, they really just drag out a story for really
Yeah,
a long time, and
yeah,
you don't get a lot of satisfaction from this individual issue. You got to read like 10.
yeah,
And that's the marketing. I get why they do it.
yeah. Sure, sells more
But
comics.
yeah, we can't produce them that fast, so for us that doesn't matter as much. So I work to make it very satisfying for what you pay for and what you get in each issue. And Gringo Loco mixes the Italian sort of spaghetti Western ethos, a lot of it, and it has these elements of horror and the supernatural imposed on it. And it's also, very violent. Especially book 2, which I'm working on now, is extremely violent. I've been away from it for a while, and I came back to it. And I was like, oh, geez, this is really violent,
It
which I
didn't
think people will
stop you.
like.
It didn't stop you though, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, just always keep me in mind. I'm your avatar as you're building these things out. Your marketing avatar. You go like, oh yeah, Rob. He's the one I'm making this for, because that is exactly what you're making it for. Me and my people. So, all right, where can people? I already gave your website, and I will put it in the show notes. Where can people follow you?
We're mostly on Instagram at Diabolik LLC, and I'm on there as just Phil Mucci, PhilMucci. And yeah, the websites are good. Get on our mailing list.
Absolutely.
You can get on it at diabolicfilms.com or professordarioBava.com. That's about it. Yeah, we have a really good list though. And we don't hammer people with a lot of stuff. We just let you know what events we're going to be at, what new stuff is coming out. And right now people are waiting for our online store to open up again because it's been down since we did the Kickstarter because we try to keep everything funneled through that.
Sure.
But that'll be reopening again soon, and you can put in you'll be able to get the reprint of book 1 of Orgy of the Blood Freaks double feature, and a bunch of other cool stuff will be available soon. So
love it. You guys have your marching orders, and I will put links in the show notes so you can follow. But tonight, if you are in the area, go see this screening. Plus, bonus, you get to see Friday the 13th, Part 6. But really, what are you there for? Come at the storm. That's why you're there. And to get that picture with Phil. Phil, thank you so much for being on. This was absolutely awesome. I do have other shows I'm going to invite you on, so everybody pay attention. Phil's not going anywhere.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
Thanks a lot, Phil. You can connect with me on social media or via email. All the links are found in the show notes. Oh, and it would really help me if you would rate and review this show on whatever platform you use to listen to this podcast. Good reviews help others find the show, which ultimately helps these incredible guests get more exposure. Alley Chats is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted, produced, and edited by me, Rob Southgate. Thanks again for listening to Alley Chats. And don't forget to support indie art.